Oh,
Let's get going. Like,
let's go.
welcome to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. We are here to podcast about anything and everything Star Wars with you. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR dot KyleJohansson.us. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at rabr.KyleJohansson.us. And now, it's time to talk Star Wars. I am Kyle John Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We're here. So today we're going to be reviewing Chapter 6. From the Desert Comes a Stranger, the Book of Boba Fett. We didn't get any listener feedback this week in time, so we don't have anything to discuss on that. But we do have 3 news articles I picked, and we'll go through the episode. And there's a question of the week, and that involves our thoughts and predictions too, because those predictions answer some of the questions of the week too. So I am going to play this little short thing of feedback just to annoy people. So all right, so we want feedback. What do you think? Do you want feedback, Scott? No?
I'd rather have feedback. Yes. Feedback
Yes.
makes everything better.
Exactly. That means we're interacting with everybody through that. So let's do the news. Let me run the news. It's time for the news. Here we go. So I picked 3 articles this week. The first one is from digitalspy.com, and it's the title says Law and Order Organized Crime Season 2 cast the Book of Boba Fett star. And it doesn't mean Boba Fett. It's the Garza chick. Her name is Beals, yeah. Jennifer Beals, and she has been cast on there. It says has been cast as organized crime as the wife of New York drug kingpin and head of Marcy Corporation. So she's the wife of this Preston Webb guy that's on that show, which, I mean, I don't know if you've seen that show, Scott, but it's a pretty good show. It's not, it's
Well, that
is those Law and Order shows, so they drive me nuts.
Yeah. And now they're doing blended episodes.
Yeah.
Of SVU and that.
Exactly. They're like every once in a while it's a special episode or something. Yeah. Anyway, so I bring that up because that almost gives us an idea that she may not be back on Boba Fett. Yes and no. I mean, Boba Fett was already recorded, so we don't know, but she, spoiler
she's
here.
Dead. She's dead. She got blown up.
Well, we think she's dead. We don't know. I mean, it was a pretty big explosion, so she could be dead. Yeah, and so this kind of confirms that she's no longer going to be on the show.
Yeah. So
she gets blown up. All right. The second article I have is from Inside the Magic, which is a obvious website that talks about Disney and stuff. The title is it's confirmed George Lucas is writing for a new Star Wars series. So that means George is actually doing the writing of it instead of Dave Filoni and those guys that are writing stuff now. John Farvo, or whatever his name is, started the series. So he is writing for, what does it say? It's way down here. Not my crew, Rogue One. Yeah, Andor. So he's been writing for Andor, and that shows the first season's already wrapped up on Andor, but he's been writing some episodes and stuff for that show, which is exciting news because that's the original guy, right? So
yeah.
And I also read, I didn't include an article for this, but I read an article where in the fall they're going to start shooting season 2 of Andor. So we know that series is not going to be a one-off thing like some of these ones we're seeing. Like, they're thinking Boba Fett's going to be a one-off.
Obi-Wan?
That's supposed to be. So there's another rumor, and that's my next article. That's a good segue there, Scott. So next article is from thedirect.com. It says Disney Plus execs accidentally reveal Obi-Wan Kenobi release date of month. Meaning there was a tweet that one of the execs put out that said the series is going to be sometime in May. And there's supposed to be a comic that goes along with it. And those will both come out at the same time. So it says May. It doesn't have an exact date. And a lot of the people are thinking that they're going to announce it or release it on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you day.
Yep.
They do a lot of announcing on that day of certain things. So it's either going to be announced or released. And some of the chatter is that they're wondering if we're going to get a reel at the end of this next episode of Boba Fett, which would be episode 7. We're going to talk about 6 today, but episode 7, they're thinking there's going to be a reel at the end. It's going to advertise Obi-Wan Kenobi. They call them sizzle reels, I guess, to talk about it. So that's the news. The news. Yeah, the news. And I'm going to do this. We are proud to welcome our latest sponsor, Juan's Cantina, where every first week of the month on the Standard Galactic calendar, we celebrate what the ancients call Cinco de Mayo. Come join us at Juan's for the food, mariachi music, and 34 flavors of margaritas. That's Juan's Cantina right next to the Hangar 94 of Mos Eisley Spaceport. On day 2 of the week is Taco Tuesday. All tacos are half a credit each, but enjoyed with our house margaritas. Juan's Cantina also serves the galactically famous Dos Camarones Azul Cerveza, imported directly from Kessel. Thank you again for our latest sponsor, Juan's Cantina. I think it's time to get to where the meat of this show. So let me run this one first. Oh, blind. Spoiler alert. Danger. You're about to be spoiled. This is your spoiler alert. We're about to talk candidly and explicitly about some TV shows or movies. If you have not watched them, please fast forward to the appropriate section. You will not be warned again because you will be spoiled. All right, we've been warned. So, So let's get going here. So the first part of the show is we see the Marshal of Mos Pelgo, which is where Cobb Vanth is, and we see some Spike people on a one of those speeders making a trade. I guess they have a can thing of money there, and then there's a box there, and then all of a sudden we hear Cobb Vanth say, ask them who do they know where they are, right? So,
Yeah.
Were you expecting him to show up in this episode at all? Yeah. So this is they so he talks to him, and one of them starts to pull his weapon out, so he starts shooting, and he shoots 3 of them, and there's one left that's not been shot, and he convinces him to leave the spice and take the money and get out. And basically threatens him that if he sees anybody else from the Pikes in his area, that they won't be warned again, and they'll be likely killed. Yeah, brought on charges and killed, and that he's the marshal of the territory, and
nothing happens without him is okay.
Right.
Him knowing about it.
Exactly, and
that's such a good open. That's great Western type stuff.
Exactly. And I always every scene that Cobb Vanth is in is pretty much almost Western style, isn't it? Because that's kind of where they're out in the middle of nowhere where there's nobody at.
They're all worried. I kind of worried. Well, okay, you don't have the armor anymore, so
yeah, you got to watch out, right?
Yeah.
And I bet you he probably has something underneath his vest there.
Yeah.
We'll find out more about that later. But he doesn't get hurt, and the Pikes guy leaves. So there we go to the next scene, which is it looks like the Mandalorian Din Djarin is coming into a planet that is very forested and everything. We left him last. He was going to go visit his little friend, so we assume that that's where he's at. And he lands, and we see R2-D2 right there where he's landing, which is next to a river. And R2 speaks to him, and he says, he greets him with "Hello, friend," which is kind of odd for our Mandalorian because he doesn't like droids, right?
He don't like droids.
And he tells him he's looking for Skywalker. He's come to see Grogu. And we see R2 leading him down through the forest. We see lots of bamboo and everything. And then we see these droids going by him that are, they call them ant droid skidders, which they appear, we find out they're picking up rocks and building a structure of some sort, which is kind of cool. I thought that was a neat way to use droids to do that kind of thing. They're a little bigger than ants, of course, but they're building it and picking up rocks, and they all kind of have it seems like they have a hive mind, because the Mandalorian asks R2 once they get there. He says, I want to see Skywalker and Grogu, and R2 shuts himself down.
R2 backs up after he talks to that one droid, and then shuts down.
Exactly, and we find out that when he talks to that one droid, that he's basically telling him that he wants them to build a little bench or whatever, right? So they build a little bench for Din Djarin to sit on, and it looks like they put some palm leaves on the one end for maybe like a pillow, I guess. But I don't know why he would need that, because he's wearing that armor all the time, so that's not going to cushion him very much. But he sits down begrudgingly after he rants at the droid that's been shut off, R2-D2, and watches the little ants build a structure which appears to be a dome, and if we think about some of the flashbacks we saw in the last sequel, this is the same structure that was, destroyed.
And then, are we?
By Kylo Ren.
Yeah, are we doing Easter eggs now, or?
Sure, if you got an Easter egg in there, go for it.
So let's go back to the desert with the Marshal. The speeder, the same one that same model that Han took in Solo movie. And now this is going way back. The ice cream maker that was holding the credits.
Yeah.
Is from Maggie, is from Empire Strikes Back, I think.
Yes, I think that's right.
Where one of the background players was running with it.
Yeah, in the Cloud City.
Yeah, and the fun fact about that is that every Comic-Con or Star Wars thing or whatever like that, the people that dress up like this guy, they all do a run through the show with ice cream makers.
Yeah. And you mentioned that. It's funny because it's actually called a Camtuno.
Yeah, I wrote that down.
And like you said, they couldn't find anything in Empire Strikes Back that they wanted that looked good, and it actually is an ice cream maker in Empire Strikes Back. It's not that anymore in the shows because we've seen like in this one where the sides come up and you can see inside of it.
Yeah, I thought that was funny because I remembered that in the Cloud City. It's like all the people running, and why does he have an ice cream maker?
Yeah, exactly. So if you remember also in that episode where the Mandalorian goes to the guy that's willing to pay for Grogu, he gives him the same kind of thing with the best car in it. He opens up in the sides and the best car's in it. That's the same device too.
He put that on the table. Oh yeah,
exactly. So we see it then too. Yeah. And it was in Solo, Solo movie, and it's been all over the place. And like you said, it's one of those weird things at the Comic-Cons and stuff too that to look for, kind of thing. Did you have any Easter eggs when the first part when Mandalorian's waiting for Luke Skywalker and Grogu?
Oh, that's the same thing that was it Empire or was it it's Return of the Jedi, I think, where Luke had to wait on Yoda after he crashed and R2 shut down. It's the same thing.
Kind of the same thing. Yeah, he had to wait there, which I mean, he didn't know where he was or anything, but exactly. So, so where are we at? So we also see a flash with Skywalker training Grogu. And he tells Grogu that he reminds him of Yoda, which had a huge heart and was strong with the Force, and something about size doesn't matter. If Grogu is worried about that. And this is also the part where we see where Skywalker, tells him to remember his past and touches him on the head. And we see that vision that Grogu has. And that's supposed to be in the Jedi Temple. And that's the 501st Legion, which is the Legion that was, guided by Darth Vader or, Anakin or whatever before he became Darth Vader. When they killed all the people in the Jedi Temple, including the younglings and whatever. And we see Grogu witness several Jedi like getting killed, and he's in the background. And there's actually a Easter egg there that you might have not seen.
Well, who was? Well, it showed the what was it, the 501 or whatever, the armor
they were there,
but no Anakin. He was somewhere else killing younglings.
Yeah, being an evil guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. So right there, when Grogu's watching the Jedi kind of protect him and stuff, from the 501, off to the side, I think it's off to the right, there's a door there, and it has a symbol on the door. And there's a symbol there that I don't know if you remember. I think it was pretty much in the Clone Wars animated series. There was a character called Darius that Ahsoka became friends of, that was had weird tattoos on her nose and face that were kind of diamond shaped.
Yeah.
That's what's on the door, is that same pattern. And we're to think that is that person's quarters. I think it was a female of some sort, but
yeah,
she was a Padawan from someone else who got killed during the Purge, I think, and created some havoc with Ahsoka and stuff like that on the Clone Wars show. She thought she trusted this girl, and she didn't, and the Jedi eventually captured this person, and eventually she escaped, or stuff like that. But also, a lot of times with prisoners, they'll put them in their own quarters in the temple and just kind of monitor them. So they're thinking that that's whose quarters that was, and that could possibly be who actually saved Grogu, because we see in the scene
I thought it was I heard that, but I also heard could have been the librarian.
Could have been the librarian. It could have been anybody. It could have been
what's his name, the Black Jedi. That, I mean,
Mace Windu. Yep.
Yeah.
Could have been him too.
He fell. Doesn't mean he was dead.
Exactly.
And Jedi has a power where they can control their fall.
Well, I mean, that was right. I mean Mace Windu. It's a long stretch, but because supposedly he died before the Clone Wars series, because he died trying to defend himself against Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly, we don't know for sure, because he fell out a window. He didn't actually. Yeah. We saw during that movie where Anakin was jumping from ship to ship while they were flying around, and maybe Mace did that too. We don't know, but so almost immediately after Grogu comes out of the remembering thing, we're back at the temple area where they're building that training area, and it's almost done, and the Mandalorian wakes up because he's startled by a noise that Ahsoka makes. Ahsoka's there, surprises him. He almost shoots her.
Yeah.
And he asks why she's there, because she's not supposed. She said she wasn't going to train Grogu, and she clarifies that Master Luke is training him. They're talking.
She said, I'm a friend of the family.
Yeah, a friend of the family.
That's great.
Which is definitely true. She's a friend of the Skywalkers, right? Anakin. And she talks about Luke building a great school that he'll train many Jedi at. And
Grogu will be the first.
Yeah, Grogu will be the first. And they start walking through the forest again while they're talking. And she reminds him that Grogu shouldn't have any attachments or anything like that, because it'll make it harder. And Mandalorian explains that he's a foundling in his care, and he just wants to make sure he's safe. So we see all that, and the next thing we know, he keeps asking where Grogu is, and eventually she stops and points up the hill, and there we see Luke Skywalker and Grogu basically sitting there talking, and I think that's when we see them fist bump. Maybe they do a little fist bump thing, action. And he talks about, he's got this present that he wants to give him, and she says, if you do that, it's possible that he may never finish his training, and so on, and he needs to concentrate and not be distracted by the Mandalorian, basically, right?
Yep.
And that's when he hands over the present, because he's made up his mind that he's going to let him be and let him train.
And did you notice? And then he decided that, okay, I'm gonna leave. I'll walk away. Did you notice that it was Grogu's music from the last episode of Mandalorian when he was going on with Skywalker?
Yeah.
But with the more, it was more upbeat than it was when Grogu walked away from Mando.
Yeah.
There's several things like that.
Yeah, and it was definitely a sad moment too, because the Mandalorian, he's had a pretty rough couple seasons of shows and everything. Everything seems to have gone against him. He lost a couple friends. He lost Grogu. His ship got blown up, and now he's trying to reconnect with Grogu, and he can't reconnect. So, he's got to be pretty upset and maybe depressed a little bit. I don't know.
I'm watching it as we're doing this. That's funny.
Yeah.
Going back to the first scene, the first shot is their semblance of a windmill going around creaking.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of, I can't remember, the Charles Bronson movie where there's 4 guys or 5 guys waiting at this train stop for them. And the first shot was a windmill. The first shot of that movie was a windmill too.
Yeah, you can hear it creaking.
Yeah, that was a gruesome movie.
Yes, it was. So then after that, we see Grogu and Luke doing some training. Grogu's in the backpack, and he's running around doing jumps and stuff. And he asks Grogu to do some jumps with the Force, he can't jump very much by himself, but he says use the Force and try it.
I liked when Luke said, let's go for a little walk. And to keep him caught up, he lifts him up and pushes him forward.
Yeah, exactly. He's pushing along. That's pretty funny too.
Come on, baby tomato, catch up.
Yeah, exactly. And Grogu's distracted all the time too. So
yeah,
like a kid, right?
Squirrel. Yeah. Well, this time it was Frog.
Yeah, exactly. Frog and so this is also the time when he activates the little training robot thing, the little circle thing.
Great.
He puts it on the ground, and Grogu pushes it like it's a soccer ball.
Grogu kicks it like it's a soccer ball.
Yeah, that was funny. And Luke's like, "No, that's not how it works." So he turns it on, and it starts to shock Grogu with a little shots.
It shot Grogu, just like it shot Luke. And Obi-Wan's on residence on Tatooine.
Exactly, and so Grogu, eventually we see him learn how to avoid it and jump around with force jumping and whatever stuff like that. They're
Yeah.
training. We also see a little demonstration of Luke Skywalker with his lightsaber in the forest.
I like it. Another Easter egg, that backpack that he had Grogu in was the same backpack that Yoda was in.
Yeah,
Kept
exactly.
that backpack the whole time.
It was either very similar or the same exact one, exactly. And I thought that too. And that was supposed to be a calling out to that scene where he's running with Yoda. So
yeah.
So we see that training with the remote to get his reflexes.
And he climbs they climb the bamboo, and they're sitting there and they're looking out over it, and there's a song playing, like the song of the sunset on Tatooine.
Yep. And
it's also mentioned that it was kind of so much samurai back to
yeah, I thought that too.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, I've always thought the Jedi stuff was kind of samurai stuff anyway. So what did you think about that scene where he's training, where Grogu's training with that remote thing or whatever, and he holds it, suspends it in the midair, and it short circuits. Short circuits.
Yeah, and I thought he just threw it in the water and hit a rock or something. But it's right. You saw the electrical malfunction in it, and it went in the water. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I thought it was. I just thought it was funny. He's like,
no,
screw this. I'm tired of this thing shooting at me.
I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave me alone. It's nap time.
Yeah, and that it wears him out too. Doing all that stuff. He's a little guy, so it wears him out some. And the next scene is where we see Din Djarin coming back to Tatooine, landing in the hangar in the palace that Boba Fett is in. One of the guards greets him, and he tells the guard that he's here to see Fennec Shand, or is on the request of Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
And they bring him into a briefing room where they're talking about. There's a holographic map there where they're talking about the Mos Espa and where they're gonna, what they've heard and all that stuff from the mods with their scooters going out and investigating the city and stuff. And he talks. We see Shand do most of the talking, but we also see that the major domo for the mayor is there.
Yeah, he said, well, it was a plan. Well, did he say it was a planned absence or a planned vacation? He said it is a planned vacation again, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. They reiterated that he's off-world right now, so he's not.
Oh, the planned vacation. No, it's not.
He's hiding, or he's been kidnapped or whatever. Yeah. And
I'm thinking it was a kidnap now.
Yeah, almost. I would think so too.
Just to know the total control over it.
Yeah, I would think so too. Almost. He served the purpose, and they kidnapped him to get him out of the way, and so he doesn't make any mistakes. We also see the Black Kirsten Wookiee in the briefing too, which is good, and we see the mod people. And this is also where we see
what Phoenix say that now that we got Mando.
And now we've got the Wookiee, and we've got some muscle to defend ourselves with. Yeah. She says that for sure, and I almost think that that's not enough, but
that's exactly what I thought. I was like, what? Hold on a second. You need some more guns. Come on.
And I think that's when when Din Djarin offers to recruit some more reinforcements. He says, I know some people that I can get to help us, which is a good thing because I think he realizes that that's not enough too, right?
Yeah.
And we see him take off in his ship again, and he circles a sandcrawler with for the Jawas with a big skeleton head on it, and
from where he got the egg.
Yeah, the
right. That's the animal he got the egg from.
Exactly.
Wasn't the egg? Wasn't the egg like their crack or cocaine or something like that?
Well, it was liquid too. I mean, the
like
eggs, yes,
it was a delicacy.
Right. So I don't know. One of my favorite things, especially during the holidays, is those little Reese's egg things or trees or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Those little things. I get started around Halloween with those things, and then I keep they keep them in the store basically until after Christmas.
You can't stop.
I love those things, and yeah, you can't stop, and that's why I'm fat. Anyway, so he's flying around, and he lands back at Mos Pelgo, where Cobb Vanth is, and one of Cobb's new deputies has your name. His name's Scott, and he tells our Mandalorian to go park somewhere else because he can't park there. He's too close. And he noticed that Scott is a little jumpy, and he says, "I'm here to see."
He's a little bit. He's a little bit. He's a little bit like, oh, well, I'm second in command here. Don't.
He's got a little
feel
power hungry kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we see Cobb come in. He says, "Okay, I've got this under control. Don't worry about it. I know this guy." And we get a comment from Mando that Cobb doesn't have his armor anymore. How's he doing without the armor and stuff? And Cobb mentions that he doesn't have Grogu with him, and they both reminisce about things that they're missing and whatever. They go inside a cantina to have a drink. And he's talking about trying to convince Cobb to join forces with him so they can fight off these.
Same bartender and everything.
Yeah, same bartender.
Mando show.
Yeah, and that was
what's the and going back. It's not what they called it. The town is not what they called it in the Mandalorian. It's called Freetown.
Yeah, they decided to change the name to Freetown.
And that's from the. I think there's 3 editions of the graphic art novel, and that's where they changed the name in those 3. That's also where shows where Boba Fett's armor got dented when he got shot in the head.
Yep. And exactly in it. The city. It says here the city became known as Freetown and was the site of a battle between Red Key Raiders and Vanth's allies. Later, Vanth defends the people from the Tusken Raiders who attack the village, and so on and so on. And they make a deal with the Tusken Raiders. Yeah, we all saw that in the Mandalorian show. Yeah, and once they feel better about defending themselves, they decide that they're free now, so they call it Freetown. And the bartender basically says that they don't want anything to do with what Din Djarin is proposing because they just want to be left alone, right?
Yep.
And
you can't really be left alone to your own devices if the overwhelmingness of the Pikes are coming for you.
Exactly, and he talks about how Fett's forces are outnumbered right now by the Pikes, and the Pikes keep growing every day that come on the planet, and he basically leaves. He says, "Okay, well, I've told you about everything," and we hear Cobb tell the bartender to gather all the people who are able to fight. And he tells him that the bartender says, "Well, you're not gonna be able to change their minds." And Cobb says, "I think I have something that they want to hear to change their minds." And we see that. So we see Mando take off. He's gone, and then Cobb sees something out in the distance, in the desert from Freetown. He senses trouble, so he tells a woman that he calls Joe to get everybody inside. And we get a really slow scene of someone walking up into Freetown.
Yeah.
And this is where we finally see Cad Bane walk up.
Yep.
And we know Cad Bane from the animated shows.
Yeah. He was the best and baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy or whatever, and he's the one that taught Bobo all the dirty tricks.
Exactly. He was a mentor to Boba, and I want to point out that he is a member of what a people's called the Duros, and I looked that up quite a bit. And the Duros people are actually one of the first members of the galaxy to have sub or light speed aircraft. So they're the first ones to explore that they know of. They're one of the first members of the Empire or the Republic, whichever was first. I think it was Republic. They were one of the first members of that Republic, and there's several of those Duros people in some of the shows as secondary people that we barely see. But there's a lot in the Old Republic stuff, which right now the Old Republic stuff is mostly in the games, the video games. We did see some of it in the first three prequel movies, but anyway, I wanted to mention that they're one of the first members of the supposed galaxy to have light speed ships.
Yep.
And you said Cad Bane is one of the most known bounty hunters during that time.
Yeah.
And he's now 30 years further than we saw him when he was in the Clone Wars. So he's been out there for a while. He's still popular as a bounty hunter. And I want to kind of clarify that he also, most of his work was with the Empire. He dealt a lot with Palpatine. He dealt a lot with Darth Vader. He dealt a lot with many of the Empire people, several different Siths and several.
And he always tried to make it beneficial to him, even though he's helping somebody else, and he always had his out.
Yep, always had an out, and that's like you said, that's one of the things that Boba Fett learned from him too. Is one of the things we've always talked about. You go into a place you don't know, you always look for where all the exits are, right?
Yep.
So you know how to get out and stuff. So we talk about, and Cad Bane mentions that Cobb doesn't have his armor anymore. That it's too bad he doesn't. And we also see the deputy come out and say, "Hey, Cobb can't be bought."
He's such a dumbass.
Yeah, Cobb can't be bought. He's a little. We find he's a little aggressive and a little kind of off kilter.
I
Yeah.
thought he was going to get shot first.
I
thought,
did
oh,
too.
he ain't gonna. Cad Bane ain't going to take this for more than 30 seconds.
Exactly, and we see Cobb kind of out of the corner of his eye noticing that the deputy is kind of positioning himself to shoot Cad Bane, and it gets worse and worse, and Cobb basically tells him to stop or something like that and pulls his weapon at the same time, and that's when we see Cad shoot Cobb first, and then he shoots the deputy at least twice. Was it 2 or 3 times, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 3 times, I think.
So,
he walked toward him and kept shooting.
Yeah,
this
and
one's gonna be dead. This one's going to be dead.
He's pretty much dead, and I'm willing to think. We were talking about this just a moment ago. I think that Cobb's got some sort of armor underneath his his outfit. If not some chainmail, maybe.
Yeah.
Something under there to protect him. And it was more towards his shoulder too, so it wasn't really probably a bad injury.
Yeah.
So and like you said, that whole scene there was right out of a Western,
Yep.
The shoot down at the OK Corral, whatever, all those movies that where they're in the middle of the town
high noon or something out in the middle of the street.
Yeah. There's many of them, and there's several good movies there. A lot of people, Westerns were kind of slow and to some people and boring, but they're kind of I kind of enjoy most of them. I've seen quite a few Westerns. So this was pretty enjoyable.
And thinking of all that or in Freetown and going back to where he made the Pikes put down the spice.
Yep.
He just went over and he checked on him after the guy left in the speeder and just kicked it out.
Yeah, dumped it out on the.
You can retire on that, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He didn't care, and he kicked it out. And that was like flashes to another Easter egg of Dune.
Yep, they do a little bit of that in Dune,
which I need to see. The new one.
Yeah, I need to see the new one too. I haven't seen it yet. All right, so we also see there when after he's shot, several of the town folk come up to Cobb, and if you listen really closely, you can hear in the background that says one of them says he's still alive. You can barely hear it, but they say it. And then we see Cad Bane walk off into the distance after he warns them that if they are complicit, basically the Pikes won't bother them. And we get a flash then back in Mos Espa in town. We go into the sanctuary and we see 2 Pikes walk in, and they have one of those cantoons that we talked about.
Yeah.
And they go in and sit down, and a droid comes up and asks them for a drink or something. Another of the Twi'leks come up and ask them if they need their helmets cleaned. They refuse all of that, and brush them aside. And we hear the band playing, and we see the place is pretty full. We see Garza in there. We see quite a few people, and then these Pikes get up and walk out. And as soon as they started walking out, I thought to myself, hey, they don't have the cantoon that they took in. Did you notice that right away? And one of the droids actually warns them and says, hey, you forgot your cantoon thing. And they keep walking out the door, and they're outside away from the building pretty much, and we see it explode. boom. And it was a pretty big explosion, right?
Yeah, that's so Godfather. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
he walked in with that briefcase and one of the things, and just walked out, and it blew up.
Exactly. That was a little satchel briefcase thing. Exactly.
Yeah, those Pikes are pissing me off.
Yeah, they are. They're not very nice, are they? I mean,
I can't remember. Were we ever going to see them without the mask on? Did we see them when
we
they
saw
took them
one
off
of them
the
take it.
train?
We saw one of them take it off when it was talking to. I think it was Boba Fett. He took it off, maybe
After they took down the train, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's your thoughts on Suka?
I don't know.
She's
Ahsoka?
going to get her own thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about Max Rebo too. I don't want him to have died either. We know that Garza's died, but I don't know about.
Yeah. But
I mean, we don't know anything for sure, but it was pretty big.
Yeah, and you know that she has her two lightsabers.
So
she had to remake a lightsaber. The lightsabers.
Yep. Exactly.
I forget. I think she killed one of those tracking Siths or whatever they were to get the crystal. Or
possibly
cut it in half.
Not the Enforcers, what were the Inquisitors? One of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she had originally when she only designs one lightsaber, and then she gets another one from something like that, and designs the second one, and takes the training of the dual lightsaber training from Yoda, is what I read. So here at the
it goes back. Also, sorry, it also goes back to like the samurai way, where hers were always shaped as a katana's.
Yep. They're kind of, I think for her, they're kind of curved a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's only a couple other Jedi that we ever see that have a curved one like that. There's a few.
Yoda had a curved handle.
Yeah.
Right.
He did. And I think Yoda had a curved one because I think he was left-handed.
Okay.
Maybe. But anyway, so we, after the explosion at the cantina, it flashes back to Grogu inside that temple. It's all built now. The robot things are done building it, and Skywalker's presenting the gift that our Mandalorian brought. He unwraps the gift and reveals it's a chainmail shirt, right?
That's right.
Yeah, which you said from the beginning. Back when the armorer was making it, you're like, it's chainmail. Yeah, and it was. It is. And that's
kind of
also
cute.
One of our
how small it is.
little small chainmail. So Skywalker explains it's from the Mandalorian, and he lays it on the carpet. But he immediately shows Grogu Yoda's lightsaber, like you were just talking about. He shows it to him, and he says, and then he lays it down, and he says, this was from Yoda, and one of the greatest Jedi, and you have two choices. You can either choose the lightsaber and continue on with your training, or you can choose the chainmail and go back to the Mandalorian and no longer do your training. And he explains how uh, Grogu's life is going to be a long life, so he's going to end up losing people anyway because he's going to outlive most of them. Because a short time for Grogu is a long time, is a lifetime for someone else. Is what he says.
He's like what? He's like 70 now, and he can live up to like 400 years old or something like that.
Yeah, Yoda was almost 900, I think, is what they said in Return of the Jedi when he died. But yeah, I mean, they can live hundreds of years, which, like I said, is he outlives almost everybody that he knows right now. If that's true, we don't know. If Grogu is one of the people that gets killed because of Kylo Ren. We don't know if he's saved again. We don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, he gives them the choice, and they cut to the credits after Grogu contemplates for a while and doesn't make a choice. So we assumed that we're going to find out that choice in episodes or chapter 7, right?
Chapter 7 has to be packed.
Yeah, it has to be.
Might show up.
Well, this last one was 45 minutes long, which is longer than most. Most of them are about 20 to 30 minutes long. So I think the next one's going to be at least that long or longer.
Yeah.
But to your point, do we actually ever get to find out if Grogu is chosen? We probably will, I would say.
They can't leave that hanging.
Well, I mean, what is your opinion about that though? Because a lot of the people online were like upset that Skywalker made him choose
one. But I think if he chooses a lightsaber, he will give him the chainmail.
I think so too. I think it's more of a
for protection.
He's making a commitment, right? Grogu's making a commitment
to continue the force training and continue being a strong entity in the force.
Exactly.
Because you can't let that talent or whatever go to waste.
Exactly, and that's also our question of the week, which we kind of really talked about already. But I gave 4 choices on my question of the week. I gave the question basically is, what will Grogu choose? And I put chainmail, Yoda's lightsaber, and then I put both. He'll choose the lightsaber, and Luke will give him the chainmail. And then I put none for the 4th choice, so he doesn't make a choice at all. Which is just like,
but no
to go back.
Still a choice.
So we've already got one vote for that, and the vote is for the lightsaber, Yoda's lightsaber, not both, but just Yoda's lightsaber separately. And you would pick the lightsaber too, or would you pick the chainmail?
Does that mean that Grogu has to be left-handed?
Not necessarily. Could be. I mean, it could be that the species is all left-handed. We don't know. We don't know much about that species, right? I also wanted to say we did get another vote on the previous question of the week, the question of what was the gift, and someone voted for the Beskar shoulder armor, which is kind of what they are referring to as the chainmail too. So maybe that's what they meant when they chose it. And I'm going to start making these questions of the week so they retire.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got a cough for some reason. I want to make them so they retire. So, because it's kind of pointless, after everybody's seen the episode.
Yeah.
Y'all, you know what the right answer is or what the
Yeah.
best choice is. So they're going to retire. So the question that's Boba Fett's army and the question of what was the gift, those are gonna not be available anymore after Monday. And then what will Grogu choose will expire on February 20th. It'll probably be the same time the next question of the week is for episode 7. Because I think we're going to get a pretty good break after episode 7 before something else starts. At least a couple of weeks or a month, maybe. Hopefully it's not May that everything starts back up, but we'll have a little bit of break, and depending on what you want to do, Scott, I don't know.
We could decide to go through the movies.
Maybe so.
Via timeline.
Do a movie rewatch.
Yeah, via timeline.
Like that. We could do that. So what do you think is going to happen in episode 7? We kind of started to talk about it, but what do you think is going to actually happen? You think it's going to be?
I don't know.
It's going to be a big battle.
I'm kind of thinking that Cad Bane always wants an out. Does he like the Pikes, or does he just want to take the Pikes' money and somehow get in contact with Bobo and come to Bobo's side?
I mean, it could be that we know that they have a history.
Yeah.
So it could be.
I think that'd be cool.
Well, you also kind of got to consider this along the same lines. You're talking about money. Maybe Boba Fett pays Cad Bane more money, and like you said, he comes to his side. I could see that happening. Maybe, that would be another big muscle that they need. I think Cobb Vanth is going to be alive, and I think some of the town people are going to join Boba Fett too.
I think that since they've seen or will have heard that he had got shot, that it's time to protect their territory, and best way to do that is to team up.
Yeah, and I wonder, back to your point about Cad Bane, maybe that's Cad Bane's plan all along is to get them all together, and then he's eventually going to join Boba Fett or something like that.
Yeah. Do you think Skywalker's going to come?
I don't think so. I think we're just going to see Skywalker and Grogu maybe doing some more training or something, and maybe find out what the choice is. I hope they don't make us wait until The Mandalorian starts, because that's all the way in September before The Mandalorian comes back on. I honestly think that the next episode's going to be quite a bit of Boba Fett on the screen. We've seen on the internet where everybody's complaining about how, the last 2 episodes, there's been barely any Boba Fett. So I think the last one's going to be quite a bit of Boba Fett. Hopefully. I wonder, it's possibly this, like I was saying before, this could be a full hour episode too, because it's kind of the finale, right?
Yeah.
So, like you said, there's going to be a lot. I think it's going to happen. At least a lot of action, right?
Yeah. A lot of laser play.
Pew pew, pew pew. Laser play, weirdo. Well, do you want to wrap it up? Are we done? Do we got more to talk about?
That's about it.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you for listening to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR.KAILEJOHANSSON.us. left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at rabr.kailejahn.us. This podcast in no way is approved, sponsored, or owned by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. All opinions are solely owned by Kyle and or Scott, and in no way express the views or opinions of their past or present employers. Views and opinions are not supported or restricted by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this podcast and its affiliate sites without consent of Super Duper Podcast Network and its host is prohibited. I am Kyle John Hansen, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say goodbye now.
Bye now.
Bye. Goodbye.
Goodbye now.